So for those of you that haven't met me before, my name's Laura Morley, and I have a company called Lulu. And what we do is we actually provide really awesome products and services to be able to help parents with the toilet training journey. And what I'm finding is as technology is getting better with disposable nappies, we tend to, as a nation and as the world, I guess, to be toilet training later and later. So even when I was toilet training my son, who's now 11, technology wasn't quite as good then as what it is now. And as a result of this really good technology, what's happening is that kids are not actually experiencing that feeling of wet close to their skin. And therefore, they're not actually having a lot of incentive to do something about it. So for them, their comfort zone is their nappy. And why would they try and get out of that comfort zone? They're quite happy to stay in that for as long as possible. Thank you very much. So we consistently, as parents, given the message from nappy companies and from, well-meaning people, our coffee group friends or whatever, just to wait until our kids are ready. And sometimes you can be waiting a really long time. So some tips and tricks to be able to help you with toilet training is really choosing the best time to start. Because if you have a child who's really, really motivated and it's the best time for them as an individual, then that's going to be the best optimum time for them, as opposed to when they get to a magic age. So a lot of people will come to me and say, oh, my child is a certain age and I feel a lot of pressure from my mother or my mother-in-law or my grandmother or, the daycare, or somebody's telling me, I feel like it's the right time. But what the important thing to do is actually look beyond that and say, what's the right time for my child? So there's a couple of things that you can look out for, and these are kind of signs and signals that your child's saying, hey, mum or dad, I'm ready to start now. And the first one is that you want your child to have an awareness of the toilet and others using it. So it might be that they want to play in the toilet, they might be interested in coming and watching you use the toilet. So maybe they go off to a quiet spot and do their poos behind the couch or something. That's showing that they have an awareness of the toilet and that they have an awareness of the fact that they've got wees or poos that have either come out or are going to come out. So awareness is a really important one. Another one is that they have bladder control. You don't want to be toilet training a kid who wees every 20 minutes. You're not going to be very successful. So you want to really be finding a child has bladder control for approximately 1.5 to 2 hours. And I think that's where the Lulu Funk underwear comes in really well, because what you can do is, if you don't know if they're, how often they're weeing, you could just put them in that underwear and let them run around for a couple of hours and see how often they're having, they're actually weeing. And that will give you a clear indicator if they've got bladder control or not. And because of the properties of your pants, and the way that they are, the child's going to be quite happy to be running around in those and feeling really, really comfortable. So, yeah, it's about having bladder control is another really big thing. You don't have to, but it does make it easier if a child can pull up and push down their pants and that they have toilet training language. They can say wees or poos or toilet, those basic kind of things. But the number one biggest thing is actually that they have motivation. If they're not motivated to use the toilet, it's going to feel like pushing something uphill backwards. So if your child is feeling motivated about the process, wanting to get out of nappies, that's always going to be the optimum. And that's where the toilet learning process is going to be a lot easier. Now, the way I help people is I find that sometimes people fall into traps like, giving a lolly for their child, doing a wee on the toilet. And the problem with that is if their kid doesn't wee on the toilet, they don't get a lolly and then they give up because they think, oh, I can't do it. And then they say, no, mum, I refuse to use the toilet, And so the main thing that I do in helping families is actually go beyond the basic information that you find on Google, which is, the signs of readiness or, whatever. And actually go beyond that and say, how can I motivate my child to actually sit on the toilet and do something on it? How can I make the transition out of nappies and into underwear a smooth and fast one? Because most of my clients are saying, Laura, I just don't have time. I'm working part-time, I'm working full-time. I have, daycare that my kid goes to, or I'm juggling, another baby, and I don't have time to be hovering around the toilet for days and weeks hoping that they do something on it. So for me, I'm actually about giving tips and tricks for parents so that we actually speed up the process. So yeah, that's basically how I work and what I do at Lulu. Unbelievably, I actually talk about wheeze and poos for my job. And before that, I was a teacher and I have 3 kids and I've done a whole lot of other things. But I really have come to find that I feel like toilet training doesn't have to be messy and it doesn't have to be stressful. And so many of the people that I meet at markets or when I'm doing workshops, which I facilitate, or when I'm, out and about, people freak out about toilet training and go, oh my goodness, it's going to be a total nightmare and I don't even want to go there. Can I somehow go around the stage and get someone else to do it for me? Or am I going to have puddles all over my lounge? Or, it's going to be so messy and I'd rather just leave them in nappies and hope that the problem goes away. And my message to people is I'm here to help. And you don't have to feel like it's going to be a stressful, messy process. It doesn't have to be that way.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Laura. And where can people find you?
I'm available at lulu.co.nz. You're welcome to jump on my website. And I actually do 15-minute free consults. So that's where you can book a free chat with me, and there's absolutely no obligation to buy anything. I'm not going to be there with my potty saying, buy this and buy these pads, these are going to solve your problems. In fact, I'm going to be looking at your child as an individual and saying, how can we work together to make the process easier for you? So for some of my clients, they'll come to me at the start and say, I don't know where to start, please help me. And for other people, it will be my child's bedwetting, my child is showing that they just will wee on the toilet, but they won't poo on the toilet, or they're flat refusing to do anything on it, and they get off and they wee 5 minutes later on the carpet. All those kinds of issues are things that I'm dealing with on a daily basis and helping people. And there's just nothing better when you work with somebody and they come to you and they tell you how things are, a bit of a nightmare for them. And by the end of it, you've worked on an individual plan and you sit down together, and by the end of it, they've got a smile on their face saying, I feel confident I can do this. And that's the best feeling ever.
Oh, that's excellent. That's great to hear. I might be in touch with you myself in about 6 months' time for my youngest.
Oh, you know where I am. I'm here to help.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for joining us, Laura.
All right. Have a great day.
You too. See ya.